Heyo, it's me, Harper Savage, and today is another episode of Create This Book 1 by Mariah Elizabeth and me, Harper Savage. Today's first prompt is create simplistic drawings. Fill this page with stick figure drawings. I already have something sketched out here on the page, so let me get some supplies and we can get started. Okay, so for this one, I decided to use my zebra click art markers because I haven't used them in a while. And, you know, that's a problem when I do a review video and then never use the product again, right? If you're curious, they do go through the page quite a lot. They didn't quite bleed, but I think if I kept layering up, they would have bled eventually. And when I went to erase the pencil lines, my eraser kind of tore the page a little bit. It was just weird how that was happening because I've never had that happen before. But as you can see, I did not draw stick people. I decided to draw bugs, specifically bugs related to the stick family. And I made them look like little figures that you would see in a book, you know, so I'm sticking with it. No pun intended. And I decided to draw them in a cuter art style to keep it simple, again, to relate back to the prompt. And I drew the common walking stick, which is not always brown, but I drew it as brown, and the jungle nymph, which is more leaf looking than stick to me. And for this, I did decide to use my Creatures of Darkness color pencils. They came with a Nerdy Crafter kit. I did record a video for that, when it came out a long time ago now, but my video was corrupted and things just kept happening where it wasn't working out. And I also kind of didn't really like the kit, I'm not gonna lie. It was mostly the coloring pages I didn't like. The watercolors were okay, I just never wanted to use them ever again. And this is probably the first time I'm using the color pencils outside of swatching. They work okay for the most part. I wouldn't say they're like Prismacolor, but I would say they're a bit better than Crayola's regular pencils. So they're not kid grade, they're more student artist area, I guess. But they have so limited of colors that I don't think I could ever use them by themselves outside of this prompt, because I was these are the only two things I was coloring. And I actually used black to shade for the brown side, for the common walking stick side. I was lucky to have a yellow and 2 shades of green for the jungle nymph side. But yeah, I think they're probably better off with other color pencils that work similarly and not just by themselves. Also, I feel like I just did a prompt like this not that long ago, and how much art you can make. I just think it's funny how often I'm doing similar prompts together. I know Chantel doesn't have the first Create This Book, so it's just weird how often the prompts kind of seem to align, whether it's the prompt itself or me having a similar idea that could have been for another prompt. Okay, I am all done with this one. Next, we're moving on to create a family. Draw, attach, or assemble an image of a family. For that, I'm going to be using external paper here. Alright, I already have everything done with the first set of line art. I'm going to be using my Crayola alcohol markers, so let's get to coloring. So I showed that first marker there, acting like I was going to show every marker, and then I didn't. For this prompt, I drew my animals that have passed on. So this first pet here, his name is Midnight Snack. He was a large cat, probably mixed with a Maine Coon or something, because he had long fur, but was still considered short hair for some reason. And he was not nice, and it probably has to do with how we raised him. He was my first serious pet, so I didn't know what I was doing. and I was like 10 at the time, 9 or 10, and my parents had never had like serious pets, so like we just didn't do a good job with him, and that's why I don't like to talk about him, because I regret how bad we were with his care. And I think it was bad enough for him too that he eventually just disappeared one day because he was inside outside cat, and I just like never saw him again. So yeah, that's a story about my black cat, the first love of my life. Next, we have Cinnamon Toast. She was a calico short hair. She came into my life because I was looking for Midnight in like pet rescues and stuff to see if he had shown up there. Her card actually said that she was very shy, but when I had walked by her cage, she actually like reached out to me and grabbed me. So I think she knew she was coming home with me, whether we found Midnight or not. And she came into my life at a very dark time because, again, my cat had just run away and I barely had any friends. So she was super nice and sweet and cuddly, and she's basically probably what I needed in my life at that time. She passed away from natural causes. She was 14 when she passed away, and there were signs, but it was also like kind of sudden because we had taken her to the vet and they're like, nothing's wrong with her. So she stopped eating, and I think she ultimately made the decision that it was her time to go. But anyways, I think I picked out like a color that was kind of too dark for her. Like she was not that orangey dark. She was more like a caramel kind of color. And then I made her eye too small on the black side. And I know that in like real life, her one eye looks smaller already, even though I knew it was the same size. I think that black spots just have that effect because it's on Brie too, my puppy, where her like eye on the black side looks smaller. So I'm like, I already had that against me, and then I made it too small. So I was like, okay, I can't redraw this again because that would be the third time I would be redrawing her because I messed up on her before this, and you'll see that in a little bit here. Next we have Ren, my first dog. He did overlap with Cinnamon, and him and her had an interesting relationship. He was a pit bull Great Dane mix, we think. We didn't get him tested or anything, but it was like kind of obvious because he was like really big. And he was afraid of everything, including his own shadow. And you might be wondering about his like wrench there. It's because he's the original sidekick to Knock the Hero, my sister who's got like a superhero theme to her. She was in one of my other videos recently. If you want to check that out, you can. He was, I guess, the fixer kind of sidekick. I don't know what they're called. What class is that? But like I said, I think him and Cinnamon's dynamic was kind of funny because she was small, because she was a female cat. They're typically smaller than male cats. And he was so big. And she ruled over him. We actually call Cinnamon like our queen of the pets because she was like our only female until Brie came along. And she would just tease him because he was afraid of everything. And he ate a lot of stuff. Like he loved red sauce, which we later found out is probably not the best for your dog. But it was different times back then. But yeah, he was sweet, and he unfortunately passed away suddenly. Like, he just got really sick, and we took him to the vet, and he didn't come home. So it was pretty traumatic because he passed away only 6 months after Cinnamon did, and the place we got them cremated at remembered us. And so he did overlap with Chi, my current cat here. It was pretty devastating for Chi, but like they were only together for 6 months, so I don't think he quite understood because he was in foster before that. So he was like, oh, he just got adopted or something, you know. I don't know. I don't know how cats deal with things, but it was quite different when it came to Peanut. I'll say that. But yeah, Ren had like that big spot on his butt, and we used to call him Dog Who Sat in Mud, just to be silly. And it's funny just because on his other side that's not showing, he had a Pac-Man shaped spot. Now that these three are done, we're going to be moving on to the most current one, and I have no idea if I'm going to be able to keep myself from crying through this one because we're moving on to Peanut. He did pass away just earlier this year, 2026, in January, so it's very fresh for me. Now, Peanut was a Keesund Staffordshire mix. He did get a DNA test, his siblings did, and they just shared the info with us. If you don't know what a kisun is, it's basically a medium-sized palm. So he looked nothing like that, but he had the curly tail like that, and a weird coat pattern happened because of the two like crazy different breed mixes. He was considered brindle, but I always color him as a gradient because his fur didn't stripe. His fur is more like mixed, more like a torty kind of look. He was very protective and to a point of aggression sometimes. He really didn't like men, but he really loved me and Nock. He is Nock's second sidekick after Ren. And him and Chi got along pretty well. He did play a little too rough sometimes. That upset Chi, and now he's like adjusting to Bree not being so rough, so it's like weird for him. Peanut was born with a heart condition, and he was not expected to live past 3. So we knew that, he was born with this condition. We managed to get him to 8. He had a lot of medication he was on at the end, and we were told we did way more than most people would do with a dog with this kind of condition. Honestly, talking about Peanut is still really hard for me to do, so I think I'm just not going to say anything else. I know that sounds pretty awful, but I just can't do it without bursting into tears. In the meantime, though, I did go ahead and cut out some halo shapes after coloring a piece of paper gold. Okay, next we have create a border. Draw or put together some sort of interesting border around these pages. I drew a little sketchy sketch on here. I think I'm going to be using paint markers for this. So that last prompt was really hard to get through, so if I sound congested, it's because I am. So for this prompt, I wanted to do like something fancier than what I went with. Like I wanted to do like those swirly thingies or like, what is it called? Gothic? I don't know. Something that looked like an antique frame. You know what I mean? Like usually they're gold or like bronze or ugly colored. But I know I'm not good at drawing that kind of stuff, at least not like traditionally. I think if I could draw half of it, like digital art, and have the symmetry tool on, it would have been fine if half the work was like being done for me, basically. But I just knew I couldn't do it myself. And I also chose to use a paint marker medium. The colors were running out for certain ones. That's why like some of the colors like shifted in like color range, I guess. Like the pink turned a bit more peachy. That's just because that pink ran out. And I'm purposely choosing markers that are kind of running out because it's the year of the purge for me, and I'm trying to get rid of supplies that I don't really like to use, and Posca markers are one of the supplies. I like paint markers, I just don't really love Posca ones. They just explode too often for me. But yeah, I went with like a dreamy kind of theme to kind of calm down after drawing all of my lost loved ones for the last prompt. It's pretty heartbreaking. Alright, it's time for us to go over what we did today and rate them. So first we did create simplistic drawings, fill this page with stick figure drawings, and I did these cool bugs that are all stick bugs. And I think I don't love this prompt. I like the concept I came up with though, but I could see this prompt being kind of lame for other people. So I'm going to give the prompt itself a 3-star rating, but I do like my artwork, even though I think I did the limbs a little bit too small on our jungle nymph here. I'm going to give it a 4 G-head rating. So I need to grab my cheese stickers. I'm going to put it right there. It's a little over our walking stick. Then next we did create a family, and I decided to create a welcoming image of all of our past animals, welcoming Peanut into Rainbow Road. So I do really like this prompt. I don't think I would have if I didn't draw my animals, though, if I had to draw something like else random, or I don't know. I'm not really into family things, but I do love my pets. So I'm going to give this prompt a 4-star rating because I think this would be easy for anyone to do. And for the artwork itself, I did mess up on Cinnamon twice, but I don't think it's enough for me to knock any points off. So I'm going to give it a 5 chi head rating. I'm going to put the rating up in the corner where there's less stuff. I am going over the prompt a little bit here, but it's okay. Ooh, hello, Shiny. Like how Chi made it onto this page with 2 of his siblings. And then last we did create a border. I think the prompt itself for this is really not that bad. I just wasn't committed to it, I guess, is the best way to describe it. So I think create a border is actually a pretty good prompt. I'm going to give it a 4-star rating for that. And I'm going to give the artwork itself maybe a 3 chi head rating because it's very simple and I'm not in love with it. And I think I could have done it better if I had chosen a medium where not everything was running out. I'm going to put that right here. Oh, cute. And of course, my favorite artwork of the day gotta be the family one. Peanut's nose keeps curling up because it didn't stay down. Same with Midnight's tail. But that's my favorite one. It's not over yet though, because we have 3 art supplies to add into the purge bin. This is the best part. Ignore this. I should put like a sticker over that or something. And here we have all the things that we've used up this year so far. And we're adding 3 more things. How great is that? Getting pretty full. I might have to put it back in the original bin it was soon because this is actually like a very thin bin. But that is going to be it for me today. If you guys want to watch the last Create This Book video, you could tap the thumbnail here. If you want to catch up on anything missed, you could tap the thumbnail here. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to do all the cool YouTube-y things of commenting, liking, subscribing, and turning on that notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!